Right. Whew. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of BloxFam Breakthroughs. It's been a technological morning. I know y'all get it. It's like you have all of the best intentions, and then all of a sudden, technology just basically gives you the middle finger. That was me this morning. She texted me and was like, hey, I think I'm online. I'm like, my computer's going to explode. All right, guys, so I am here today with a fellow castmate from season 17 of TheBlox. We're just going to kind of jump right into the juice because I'm already like, ramped up from this whole technology thing. So, all right, girlfriend, why don't you give everybody a short synopsis, introduce yourself, let everybody kind of know who you are and what it is that you do.
Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Iman Ikeda-Bibi. I am co-owner of Gear Up Tires located in Huntington Beach, Orange County, California. We are a front-end repair shop. So basically that means that we do everything in related to automotive. That is the front part of the bottom part of the vehicle. So we're talking tires, wheels, brakes, alignments, anything suspension related. So repairs and upgrades. So lifting the vehicle, dropping the vehicle. And yeah, that's who we are.
Amazing. I got to know, how did you get into this? I mean, I kind of know already, but how did you get into this?
Yeah, okay, great question. So definitely not a female-dominated field. My actual experience has been in marketing, and the story with this is, I always dreamt of like having my own business, and my husband, same. He actually has been in the automotive industry for, I don't know, a good chunk of his life. He started working on vehicles when he was younger because he was super interested in his own, and then led to him getting jobs at a shop. And he actually was managing a shop in a city not too far off from us. And he was attending college, wanted to be an architect, and his boss found him really valuable to the business, so asked him to a dinner and then presented this idea of him being a owner of that business with no buy-in, but he needed to drop school. And my husband thought about it for a while, and he was like, okay, I could either continue down this route that I thought I was going to go down, and maybe make it and maybe make good money down the road, or I could take what he's offering me, which is a really rare opportunity, and make money now. And it is something that he's interested in. So he dropped out of school and tried to pursue that. There was nothing written. And, a few months down the line, he asked for like, hey, when is this actually going to kick in? And the owner lets him know that his parents, who had helped him start the business, decided that they didn't want to give part ownership to the business to someone who's not family. Made so much sense. But maybe something he should have said before he had my husband drop out. And so he kept my husband happy by, paying him six figures, which is like not super common in this industry.
Yeah.
And that was fine for a time period. And then eventually, like, the money wasn't enough. My husband was feeling like he wasn't really being challenged the way he wanted to be. And all the things that he knew, the decisions that he wanted to be made, like, they weren't the things that were happening. There was always this like butting heads thing. And so he was getting frustrated. And then COVID happened, and I got laid off my job, and I liked that job. And as I was applying for other jobs, I was like, damn, like my heart's just not in it. Like, to like work really hard for someone else again, like, I don't know. I guess I like been burnt out from it. So I thought about it, and then I presented the idea to my husband. I was like, let's just like, now's the time. Like, things are slowing down. Like, we have time to plan something. I was like, let's go out on our own. You're frustrated, I'm frustrated. And so we were caught between two types of businesses. We either wanted to open something in the fitness industry, which I'm super passionate about, or something in the automotive industry. And because it was COVID and the fitness industry was struggling, workout studios, gyms were constantly being opening, closing, opening, closing. The automotive industry actually never ended up closing. It was considered, essential, and actually business was booming. I don't know why, but all these people had elected to do all these extra things on their vehicles. And so, I don't know, automotive industry was doing really well during COVID. So we were like, let's go for this. We started a business plan. I spent way too long on a business plan. And then we made the moves happen, and we opened up Gear Up Tires, and it's been quite a journey. That was a
Yeah.
really long story.
Yes. Oh my God, I love that. It's so unique. And, I feel like TheBlox does a fantastic job of casting just such a wide variety of people, businesses, industries,
Yeah.
seasons, and just really unique stories. Like, I feel like a lot of us really just kind of had, and you said something interesting when you were just like, I just don't really want to work for somebody else. Like, that is the classic entrepreneur, like mindset of like, why am I working this hard for somebody else? That's like the classic moment where people realize that, like, okay, maybe I could do this entrepreneurship thing. Okay, so tell me a little bit about where you guys were at, like, before you came to TheBlox, because I know you have a very, 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 I don't even know what adjective to get it. It's a very interesting story. It's a very, like, heartbreaking story. So why don't you give us a little bit of an idea of where you were, what season of business you guys were in that, like, 3-ish
Yeah.
months before TheBlox.
Yeah. So I know you already know part of this, but I was already really anxious going on to TheBlox. I mean, one, the experience in itself, and then two, going by myself when, half the business is my husband and it is a very, male dominated field. So just like I've struggled with like, feeling like I belong in that industry, the
Yep.
credibility part of it. So already imposter syndrome, walking into it with that. And then on top of that, I think it was like a month or so before, we got a phone call from our landlord, like super early on a Sunday morning. And damn, Jessie, like our business was like finally doing good. Like we were like, we are like, we're killing it this year. Like it's great. We're going to end so strong. And we get this phone call Sunday morning, and my landlord's like, "Hey, the business right in front of you caught on fire. The fire department is there. We don't know how bad the damage is. They're not letting us go back there, but I just wanted to prepare you. You guys can come. I don't know how far you'll be able to get in, but that's what's going on." And we were like, "What the heck?" So it was straight out of a movie scene. Like it was insane. Like this business, a matter of like maybe like 30 feet in front of us, like you can literally see them, They the cars are burnt down. The entire building is destroyed. Like I can't even, I don't know. It was so crazy. And we were so, so, so fortunate where like our business, which is like right in front of it, was like untouched. Like it's a separate building. So like the fire hadn't spread to like our side, thankfully. Like they got to it in time. But that doesn't mean we were in the clear. The city yellow tagged us, which means that we're not able to operate. And the reasoning for that was that because it is so close to the vicinity of the business that did burn, and that building is structurally unsound, if anything were to fall off from that business, like from that building, we would be in risk. So that would be like someone getting injured or car being destructed or something. So we were like, okay, um, a little hiccup, and
That's a
they
little
were
more than a little
really
hookup.
I know. They were like, they made it sound so optimistic at the beginning, which I don't know if it's their job or I have no idea. But like in our head, we thought, okay, a week. We're shut down for a week. It sucks. We will reschedule people. It'll be fine. And that week turned to 3 months.
Oh my God.
3 months. Yeah. It was
So
crazy.
did that
Yeah.
not get resolved until after you got home from filming?
Yeah. Or right during we were filming, it had opened. Yeah. It was crazy. And then like I had no idea, like besides being closed for 3 months, which in itself is just frightening,
Yeah.
as a business owner, we didn't know if we could recover. Like a lot of the people who hit us up during that time, they needed things done. It wasn't just elective stuff.
Yeah.
So they were gonna have to go somewhere else. And at that point, it's like I don't know what their like what their experience is going to be at another location. Like maybe that other location is like more convenient or closer, whatever, they connect better. I have no idea. So like one, we're losing them for those 3 months, but like are they coming back to us after that? Like we're finally like getting that brand awareness, and yeah, we just had no idea. So it was terrifying. It's funny that you mentioned that comment about me not being able to work for anyone else because after my first year, I realized that the business wasn't going to be able to operate with both my husband and I being completely reliant on the business.
Yeah.
So I actually do work for other people. So I was lucky enough to like be able to continue working. And even during the filming of the blocks, like after those long days, I would go back to my room and I would work. And then I'd go to bed for a few hours and I'd wake up early and I'd work. Like I needed, especially if my husband wasn't making money, which his sole income is from the business,
Yeah.
then I needed to continue working. And so it was hard. It was so damn hard. It was so stressful. I'm happy to report that we are now recovered. We're fully operational. We did lose our one employee, which sucks, and it's been a challenge finding someone new to replace him. But bank accounts going back up, like it's okay. We're good.
So
Yeah, but it was hard.
were you working the whole time? Like when you guys started that business, then did you go back and get a full-time job like while you guys were opening and stuff then?
So we were open for maybe somewhere like 6 months to a year. And our intention when we did the finances at the beginning were that both my husband and I were going to take a pay cut from the salaries we came in from. And that pay cut was still like we couldn't afford to like pay employees, pay insurance, pay
Yeah.
rent, pay all these things and pay ourselves. And so my intention after that 6 months to 1 year mark was for me to go back like part time just while the business picked up.
Yeah.
And it's actually been like it's been such a journey. Like I actually like really love my job that I do now, so I probably will never leave it. And then I got into like teaching in the fitness industry, which I really love. So the supplemental incomes will probably always stay for me. But yeah, I did have to go back,
Yeah.
and I'm okay with it.
And what can you walk me through like the feeling of that? Because I feel like a lot
Yeah,
of entrepreneurs can relate to like the dream is always to leave the corporate job, and it's such a
yeah,
I don't even know how to describe that, but like it's such a stigma of like that's what you do. You
yeah,
leave your corporate job to you don't have to be a full-time entrepreneur to be an entrepreneur. That's a
yeah.
very very what do they call it? Unpopular opinion, where people are like,
Hmm.
you're not an entrepreneur if you don't do this 100% of the time. Like, get out of town. That's also in the
Yeah,
world that we live in, like, it is
yeah,
very hard. It's very hard,
yeah.
especially when you guys both own that company and your
Yes.
your household income, not just your
Hmm.
individual income, your household income depends on that. That's a lot, and I feel like I would love to know kind of what was going through your head around that time when you had to make that decision. Like, were you feeling like good about it, bad about it? Were you feeling like
No,
shameful
I was
about it? Like, what
definitely.
was that journey like?
Yeah, I there's definitely a lot of shame. Like you said, there's like a stigma of what an entrepreneur is and you needing to fit all these boxes in order for you to be an entrepreneur. So like I felt the success, like I felt great, going out on my own. And I was so frustrated working for someone else. So like to have to be like, damn, like we just can't make it. We can't make it on our own. And like you said, like with two of us, like that's hard, like that's two incomes. um so yeah, definitely like did not feel good going back into it. But I think the thing with me, and I'm so fortunate and I'm aware that I'm blessed with this, is like the reason I wanted to start on my own was because I was so frustrated working for someone else. I think a lot of the times I felt like really confident with like the work that I was doing. Like I am such a hard worker. And, I with marketing, it's like it's not black and white. A lot of it is subjective, a lot of it is testing things. I felt like I had the most educated guests and I couldn't get the people above me to support that. It was always like me just being the person who carries out their plan.
Yeah.
And I didn't love that feeling. So
You
going
strike me
back
as more of a
into,
visionary than an executor, which
thank
in
you.
that
I mean,
scenario
I
would be like they were like putting your visionary ish in a closet over here, and you just became the executor, and that sucks.
oh, yeah, that's just like every day is the same. Like I'm just gonna go like do whatever you tell me, clock in, clock out. Like I don't like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, like I've been blessed to not feel that way anymore. And like I like my dream for my business is way beyond where it's at now. And if I can help give it a little boost by supplementing my income, like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to take shame in that, you know? I'm not
Yeah.
going to let the world make me feel bad about it. Like,
Good for
I'm
you.
doing a good thing. I'm successful in my eyes. And if no one else thinks that, like, that's okay.
Yes, that's I love that. I love that you said that because my other podcast, like my personal podcast for my own business, is all about it's called Redefining Fabulous, and it's all about really kind of breaking down all of these stigmas that people feel like they have to fit these boxes. They feel like in order to be successful, they have to check off of this list, and it's really just about opening up the fact that like being successful is up to you. Like that's like your terms, whether or not you are making 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, whatever. Like has such a small piece of like what it means to be successful. And like, what do you do with that money? Like, do you just blow it? Are you successful because you make a shit ton of money and then you blow it on random stuff? Like what, so I appreciate you saying that because I feel like, a lot of people can relate to the fact that it's really easy to fall into that feeling of shame and guilt. And like, I don't want anybody to know what I'm doing because I know that this isn't what people think I should be doing in XYZ. So kudos to that. Like high five through the camera because like high five for that. That's amazing. So I'm really nosy. And what are you doing now? What is your other thing?
Yeah, so I manage a Bollywood dance studio located
Cool.
also in Orange County. I'm not a dancer. I attempt, not very good. But yeah, I manage it. So I do all the back end stuff. I get like complete freedom. I pretty much like, it feels like it's my business some days. Like I have my boss a lot and I just love her. And it's not that I'm like super passionate about Bollywood dance because obviously not a dancer, definitely don't do Bollywood.
Yeah.
Um, but like the relationship I have with my boss, she treats me like an equal. And that's what I was looking for. And I never had that in the past. But yeah, I do that. That's a good chunk of my week. And then I'm also a group fitness instructor at a couple different places. And that is something I'm so passionate and something we hope to eventually tie into Gear Up Tires. But yeah, so I do both those
That's
things.
cool. Like, hey, come do a workout class while your car's getting fixed. Like,
Exactly. My whole thing was that is like we have two vessels, right? Your car, which takes you places, and your body, which takes you every other place. So like come get both turned up at
I
the same time,
love
you know?
it. I am so on
Yeah.
board with that. That is so cool. Oh my God, I love
Yeah.
that. Okay, so let's backtrack a tiny bit here. So what was going through your head on your way to Tulsa? Like the actual moment of truth, like you're heading to Tulsa, what is going through your head?
I'm gonna suck. I'm gonna suck. Why am I doing this? Like I literally like up until the last day, like I knew I was always going because I'll always follow through with things I signed up for. But I just thought I was gonna be so uncomfortable and embarrassed and yeah, I was like, I don't even know if my business is gonna survive. I'm a woman in the automotive industry. I only know half of what my business does, really, you know, because like the way my husband and I run it is like he runs the shop side, I run the business side. Like we're
Yep.
both just like pros on our side, and really, we don't really like dwindle into the other side. So I was like, what's this like? No one's gonna take me seriously. Yeah, I was terrified.
Yeah. And then how long did it take once you got there? How long did it take for
Mhm.
some of those fears to kind of like subside and that story in your head to kind of like shift a little bit?
I think as I started hearing other people talk, as I started, like, as we got into the pods and I was listening to other people share their stories, I was like, damn, like, I need to get away from me doubting myself, you know? Like, the world is going to give me doubts all day. It's going to give me fears. It's going to tell me I'm not enough on a regular basis. And it's up to me to take that to heart or for me to be like, damn, I deserve this spot. Like, I deserve to be here just as much as anyone else. I've worked really damn hard to get here. So I don't know. Yeah. Like, just hearing other people take pride in their journeys and their challenges, I was like, what do I have? Like, what's holding me back other than myself right now?
Well, technology is not the only thing failing. My tea bag just like exploded, and now my tea is full of grains, so that's fun.
Oh my
Anyway,
God.
a you said something that like strung a chord there. I feel like the very first night, you know, obviously it was super nerve-wracking to do the like intro video thing, like when we had to go like do our interview. I don't know why I felt like that was like so freaking stressful, but it was so stressful. And then when we sat down to dinner, the very first night, you know, you realize that like, you're in it. Like there's really no way out. And B, everybody sat down at the table and it was like no one had a fear in their mind. I mean, like, obviously everybody had fear, but it was like everybody just was so open and so telling their story and so genuinely interested in what everybody else was doing and what they were there for. And I feel like something that we lack a lot as entrepreneurs is those kinds of like opportunities in our own environments, like in our own communities, because a lot of us are not blessed with large groups of entrepreneurs who are like right next to us, cheering us. Like a lot of us don't have that at home. And so I just like, I remember the first night being like, oh my God, like who are we going to sit by? Like who's going to like, you know, whatever. And then like, as soon as we sat down, it was like, everybody was instantly friends. It was so wild. It was so wild. But I loved how quickly, everybody kind of just like started to let their guard down. Like everybody just started to really be honest, and just like I think everybody kind of had that realization of like, we are all here for some reason. We may not know what it is. We may never know like why we were chosen, but we were chosen, and then that was it. Like that was our common denominator, was that we all have something to bring to the table this week, and we were all chosen. So like, let's go on to the next level. It was crazy. It was crazy.
And I think that image in our head of like what an entrepreneur looks and talks like and all that, like we just dismantled it at that dinner, you know?
Yeah.
It was like, we were all so different, you know, like our life experience has been drastically different. We're all from different parts of the country, you know, like, yeah, I think like just tearing away from that stereotype in our head, you know, is like, was everything.
And that, I think, is like what I have become so obsessed with. And part of the reason why I started this BloxFam podcast is because like I feel like I became so hyper aware and so hyper focused and obsessed with the fact of like everybody just seeing things incredibly different. Everybody having their own, you know, backstory, but also like that backstory, not just like we all have baggage, right? We all have baggage, we all have past, but like the way that we use our past, how that has shaped us into who we are today. Like I'm obsessed with that. It's like actually kind of creepy. I feel like sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I just want to know more, you know? And like, I feel like, it was an amazing week, don't get me wrong, but I feel like I wanted to know more. I didn't get enough chances to talk to people deeper and longer and, you know, like really go deeper into some of this stuff because like we just had a very tight, you know, we had a very tight ship. We were filming all the time and we were in class, we were doing this. And so like I am loving doing this because I just love being able to hear like the full story, the full background, how everybody else is feeling. Because I also feel like in entrepreneurship in general, it's important that we recognize some of these things and we voice them so that the people behind, like I'm all about like blazing the trail for the entrepreneurs behind us. Like I want it to be easier for them than it was for us. And some people are like, hell no, it's hard for us. They can have it hard. And I'm like, but why? Like why?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. They'll have their
can
share of hard anyway.
Yeah. I'm like, it's still going to be hard, but like, if I can help someone skip maybe 4 or 5 mistakes that I made, like, I feel like I am doing a service in the world. Right. And that's another thing I think that goes back to the comment you made about, you know, not wanting to do the hard work for, you know, somebody else and stuff. And I feel like a big difference of entrepreneurship too is like a lot of us genuinely want to make an impact in the world and community and like leave the place in the industry a better place than it was when we got into it, right? A lot of us start our businesses based on a gap or a lack in the industry that we want to fix. Right. And so like, it's so important, I feel like, to be able to pay that forward, to be able to, you know, like have the people, hell, when I'm old, I want to make sure that those people are like making sure the world is still turning. Right. Like, I don't want to piss them off so they come spitting in my food or something. Like, I don't want that. So no, I love that. I love that you said that. Okay, so going back to the BloxFam experience, what do you feel like was the hardest part of the week for you? What part was the hardest?
Oh,
There can be
man,
more than one, but
after the prompts were given out, racing to the rooms to try to what was the amount of time that we were given? It was like 7 minutes. I don't know why seven's in my head. I don't know. That small amount of time that we were given to like write as many notes as you can so you can go up and talk about whatever the prompt is. That was like, that made my heart beat out of my chest every single time. Not even going up and talking about what I said, but just those like minutes scrambling, trying to like think of everything, you know?
yeah.
That was definitely the
Yeah,
most challenging. And to have to do that over and over again every day, oh my God.
and it didn't get easier. That part did not get easier by the end of the week. It actually got harder.
You did not get used to it at all. It was stressful every time. I think one of the days, it was in the middle of the week. I had like gone up to my room after breakfast, and you know how they give us like a time of like when they're gonna come back? They started earlier that day. And so by the time I made it down, the prompt has already been given. People are already racing to the rooms. I was like, shit. I was like, I'm gonna die. Should I go back? Do I give up by now? Like,
Do you
yeah,
know
that
what
was
day
really
it was?
hard.
What topic it was?
I can't
No.
remember. Definitely in the middle of the week, but yeah, I can't
Knowing my
remember.
luck, that
I'm
would have
glad
been
I
money
can't
day
remember,
for
yeah.
me. Like money.
Oh my God.
Okay, so on the flip side of that, what do you think was like the easiest part, or not like the easiest, but just kind of like what part like you felt confident in?
I felt like the second part of the pause. So the second part of the pause was, when it felt more conversational. It wasn't like
Yeah.
I was presenting, I loved the back and forth with the coaches. That part felt so valuable for me because like that first part, that felt like a competition, it was a competition. And I don't know how they did the points. I heard different theories or whatever. But the second part, like I said, like so conversational. I felt like I got the most, like that was what I was there for. It was for me to actually get feedback from for my business, from the people who have become super, super successful, people that I look up to. And yeah, that part didn't stress me out at all.
Yeah.
Um,
You kind of
Obviously
like the
having
rest kind of melts
conversations with
away
you.
in those
Yeah,
consultations. It was kind
like
of like
you
the
forget about
cameras,
you
the
forget about the
people.
first part. Exactly. You forget about the first part. You don't even care anymore. That part's already done. Um, yeah, I loved like being able to ask my questions and hearing their feedback, and yeah, that part was my absolute favorite.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite judge?
Um, Actually, no. I thought they were all so different. They all had like very specific personalities, and obviously like businesses that they've become successful in were so different. But they all brought something else, something new to the table, and I think I appreciated that from each and every single one of them.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
like I didn't get to work with all of them, but yeah, they're all great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like that's
So,
part of it, I mean, like we're supposed to kind of like wonder, and I felt like there was kind of a blurry line in the whole like leave them alone approach them and talk to them and ask them questions, and I'm like, well, which is it?
yeah,
like
they all kind of had different opinions on that as well.
yeah, and you don't want to be like that annoying person that's like
I
I was that person
know.
that's like, I don't want to be that annoying person that's like pulling you aside to ask you a question, but I have a question.
Yeah.
I was like that with Brian on the on I don't know if it was the money day or the niching day, but I like asked him something, and he was like, we had a call with him recently for his PR stuff, and
Yeah.
he was like, yeah, man, you came up and asked so many people. It's amazing how many people you could just tell wanted to come up to you and ask you something, but they were too afraid. I was like, well, and he's like, I blame Wes for that.
Did you have Ryan in a pod?
I did. I had him on
Okay.
money day.
Okay. So I had him in a pod, and oh my God, like the first part, he was so intimidating. Like, so intimidating. He just sat there with that stern look that he keeps on his face. And I was like, I can't get a read. Like, I thought this person was amazing, but I cannot get a read on him. And then to see how he evolves in the second part of it, like the discussion part of it, I was like, okay, There's a human in there. All right.
Yes. I loved him. Honestly, I loved him. And I think that I maybe even like appreciate and am inspired by his ability to be in business mode when he needs to be,
Yeah.
like true,
Yeah.
like no fluff. Let's get what we need to get done. And then
Yeah.
you can kind of, breathe and like open up a little bit about that. Like I kind of actually appreciate that because I struggle with that. I could just like fluffity talk all day long about all the things. And so, I loved him. I really liked him. Okay. So now that you're back. So for reference for anybody watching, we are just over 3-ish months post filming. So we've had about, what is that, for like 12 weeks ish, 12 to 14 weeks ish. To, take everything that we did or that we learned and put it into play. So what is life like now that you are back from the blocks? Do you feel like you have implemented a lot of things that you learned there, or are you still kind of getting there? Because I am getting there.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like completely honest with this. So I think the way the blocks influenced me, just from like being in the Facebook group, and I'm not like really heavily into Facebook, so I see things very rarely, but
Yeah.
just from the little stuff that I have seen, I think that the way it influenced me was a little bit different than other people.
I'm
What for two
intrigued.
reasons. For two reasons. One, like I just told you, like my business was like in recovery mode at that point, so that was like everything. All of our efforts had to go into that. I wasn't gonna go type up some SOPs or, like needed to focus on that. And two, it just cemented this feeling that I've always had. And this is an unpopular opinion. And I don't know if you feel the same or not, but it's okay if you don't. Um, so I know that a lot of entrepreneurs feel, especially at the beginning, that their business needs to have their 100% undivided attention. They need to make all these sacrifices. Like it's the entire world revolves around their business. And I've known in my heart of hearts from the beginning, even though I'm not saying I haven't made sacrifices, my business was never going to take over my entire life. My business is what I do within a certain amount of hours of my day. And while I'm passionate about it and passionate about the goals I have for it, it's not going to take away my social life. So, like, I love to travel. I try to do 3 countries a year. My husband comes at least to one of those trips. So we shut down the business entirely and we go. And so coming back from the blocks, I knew like a lot of the things we learned there, like I was like, okay, I'm not doing these things. I do need to do them down the road. But right now, while my business is recovering and me trying to also have a life outside of work, like I'm not gonna rush myself into doing every single thing. Not right now. And so a lot of things have basically just been in the back of my mind. I hope to implement them. It probably will happen piece by piece over the next year, but I haven't been like diving deep into it, honestly.
Yeah, I think that that's amazing. And I think that, I actually kind of love unpopular opinions because I love to see things from both sides. Like, I love to be able to be like, well, yeah. And then I'm like, well, like if I don't do that, like I love that. And it's interesting because I think that underneath all of that, what I'm hearing, or maybe just what I'm interpreting, is that, you recognize the seasons, right? You can recognize when the business needs a little bit more than maybe your normal because you have XYZ. Like recovery mode probably was a little bit more hands-on than it needed to be, or than it normally is, because that was the season you were in, right? And then when you got to that point where you were like, okay, we're leveling out, or, whatever, you're recognizing that that's the season where you can say, okay, this can fall back into this priority, and like it's no longer at the top, and it's whatever, and I have mad appreciation for that because I came back and felt like all of the things had to be done, all of the things, and my story of where I was at before I went to the blocks. I mean, it was like there were so many things that needed to be done before I could implement them. And regardless of whether or not I was able to like do those things, it was just a very overwhelming feeling because I was, I was swimming in client work already. I was very much working in the business instead of on the business. Like the priorities right there. The season was I need to fulfill these client relationships so that I can build the time. And I actually decided during my virtual summit in September, while I was live with everyone, I literally told them, you know what? I am making the decision right now. I am closing my calendar for the rest of the year. I closed my calendar for new clients until January 1st of 2025 because I am recognizing that in order for me to survive the season's like the longevity version of it, I have to make a decision now to level out, right? So I'm in a season now where I am like working so hard to get all the client roster kind of like weeded out so that I can work on the business so that come the beginning of the year, I now have things back in play, my automations, my whatever, so that I can again take that step back down and no longer be in that like hustle season. And I think that hustle culture is a really hot topic. And I actually love talking to people about it because I see it so much differently than a lot of people. But I just wanted to let you know, I mad appreciate that because I feel like not enough people talk about that. I feel like even most people that I do talk to, when they take time off or they take time to travel or they close their business down for a week, they feel very guilty. They feel very, but what's everybody going to think if I close my doors for a month, a week? What's everybody going to think? What's going to happen? And it's all of these external things, right? But we're telling themselves our story. So really like there is no, like factual things at play. A lot of time it's just us telling us that. And I mean that's a big hustle culture issue in general. That's a big entrepreneurship topic in general. But I appreciate you being honest about that because I feel like not enough people are. Not enough people truly are like, you know what? Just because I run my own business doesn't mean it has to run me. Doesn't mean that it has to be everything. Yeah. Because there is definitely a stigma that, like, you live, breathe entrepreneurship, your business, you live and breathe it every day. And there are plenty of people who do, but that's a choice.
Yeah.
And I think that's the bigger issue is people don't recognize that that's a choice. And making that choice and being miserable because you, like, force yourself through 18-hour days, 7 days a week, that's a choice. And you are on the other spectrum of being a great choice maker. You are like the angel choice maker that like, I want to post a picture of you on my wall now and be like, see, she says that I don't need to be in my business 100% of the time. So I love that. I appreciate that. Okay. So the official definition of a breakthrough, which is kind of what all this is meant to be about. The official definition is a sudden, dramatic, an important discovery or, kind of development. Would you say that you had any breakthroughs while we were filming?
I would say that, just like, realizing and cementing that opinion for myself, like I saw, not that there weren't people who felt the same way as me, but I definitely saw people on the other end of the spectrum where they are going to pour every single drop of blood, every single part of their heart and soul into their business for as long as they can. And I just realized, like, I think I can be my version of success without having to do that. I don't want to look back in my life 10, 20, 30 years from now and be like, okay, what I did at this time period was work. All I did was work. I would never want that. So yeah, I think just realizing like I'm a different breed. Not that there's not others out like me, but that I'm going to keep myself accountable for that. I'm not going to let it completely consume me.
Yeah. What would you say that, like, when you got home, well, first of all, I have to know, how was the first week when you got home? Did you feel like dead, like a dead person, or were you like
I was just
totally
like,
fine?
I think I was just so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, there's a lot of things that I'm missing. Like, I thought we were on the pretty successful route of a business, but, I'm not doing this. I haven't done this. I haven't even thought about this. I think I was just like so overwhelmed with the amount of things that I was lacking. And I think that just shut me down for a second. I was like, okay, how do I even like navigate back into real life, knowing all this information? Like now that I
Like
have,
file
you know,
away,
all
file
these
away.
tools, all these tools, like how am I going to utilize them all? And then obviously, that rescinded it went away. But yeah, I think I was just like my brain was like maxed out. Also,
Yeah.
just maxed out from like the amount of learning and how long those days were.
Plus you
Like
were doing your work like in the morning and afternoon.
yeah,
Like, I mean, it was rough
yeah,
for
yeah.
some of, I mean, like I should have been doing work, but I was so tired. I was
I
just so
know,
tired
I
every
know.
day.
I
So much
don't even know
stress.
how I did it. I
Yeah.
was on zero negative battery life by the time I got back home. I was like, shit.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
looking back to your trip there and being there for a week and all those things, is there anything that you would do differently
Oh my
if you
God, I'm so
were to
sorry you
have
broke
the
out during
opportunity
that.
again, or like back at all?
Mm.
What's up?
So you broke out for a second, but I got it.
Oh,
Anything I would do differently? Um, no, because like
I was like, you
even
don't.
like when I
I don't feel
when I
like you
go to
vibe
answer
on that
that
line
question,
anyway.
I like even if I feel like the correct answer is for me to be like, yeah, like I would try harder, I would like study better, like all these like school teachings that we have, but it's like I felt like I went out there and I represented myself and I represented my business in the best way I could and authentically. And how can I do that differently? Like, that's me. I have no more to give. That is me, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Hold on, back up though. Why do we have to say what the right and like? Why do you feel like there's a
I
right
know.
answer?
Because, that's what we're taught, like, that we should be doing more, Like, we're always told that, like, what we're doing is not enough, The hustle culture thing. It's like, it's not enough. You got to do more. You got to take on more. You got to work harder. You got to, like, all these things. So I feel like immediately I want to answer,
Yeah.
I want to give that answer justice. But then I'm like, wait, this, that's not me. Yeah.
And on
So,
that note, I feel like I'm not really a huge regret person. I have a long ass winding road of a story of how I got to here today, and I wouldn't take any of it back, even as awful as some of it was, because I would not be the person I am today if I had not been
yeah.
forced to go through those things. But what I will say, and I asked this question because actually someone from home in another entrepreneur group I'm in asked, like, is there something you would do different? And I first was also like, well, and then I was like, you know what? I would have maybe worked less hard. Like I would have maybe focused more on the in-betweens than the game, than the lessons, than taking the notes and saying the right things and like all the things. If I was to do anything different, it would maybe just to be to like focus and absorb more of the in-betweens, more conversations in the hallways, more of just the organic stuff instead of the stuff that I felt like I had to do because that's what everybody was
Yeah.
doing and that's what we were there for. Like that
Yeah.
is the only way that I look back at it thinking like, what would I have done differently? Nothing major, like not like I would have studied for this, I would have watched every episode. Like I didn't go for the game, I didn't really care about that, but
Yeah.
like I would have maybe focused on more of the organic in between moments and just kind of like relished in them instead of being like I need to like study my notes for this and I need to, whatever. I think I would have maybe just chilled a little bit more. I think I come from that. I come from a workaholic family. I come from, I'm surrounded by that and it's a choice to stay there, right? And so I think
Yeah.
that, like, looking back, that might have been one thing I would have changed. But it wasn't huge. I still had plenty of conversations. I still loved, like talking to people and learning and doing all of that. But to your
And you
point of
get to
saying that, I
continue
was kind of
that,
like, yeah,
You get to continue that. Like, I love what you're doing, and you're so right. Like, I think, like, obviously the lessons that we learned, like, they were great. Like, Wes put a lot of thought into them. And I'm not saying they weren't valuable, but I definitely think that the greatest value of that experience was in those moments in between, was in
yeah,
like hearing other people's stories like that. gave me so much more power
Same.
than stuff I could have learned, in a book or in a different seminar or whatever,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I felt like the pods, especially the second halves, the more conversational things, was where I learned the most, because it really started to like show you the applicable to and started to show me how other people's brains were working. It started to show me
Hmm.
how other people, like, I was mind blown, absolutely mind blown by how differently everybody answered the prompt. Like, even for the 3-minute thing, I was blown away by how different the answers were. And then I was very intrigued. And then I became obsessed, because then I was kind of like, I want to learn to be able to think of this from like 5 different ways. Like, I thought that was so incredibly valuable to, be in a room where all of us think differently, and like in a good way. Because a lot of times, if you don't think the same as me, like, that's a bad thing. Like, that's a society issue, right? And so I was blown away by that, and I was like, I took that. That was maybe like my biggest takeaway. And on that note, what would you say was your biggest takeaway from the experience as a whole?
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I think that, when you're out there ready to start your own business, you're, frantically searching for all the answers to things you don't know. The biggest realization you can have is knowing that there's no stepping stones. Like, there's no proper way for you to run your business or be successful or whatever. It's everyone does it so differently. Our minds work so differently, and you can achieve success in a completely different way than someone who runs the like maybe a similar business model.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that would definitely hold true for me as well. Yeah,
Yes, I love
understanding
that. I think
that
there's way too many people
different
out there
ways.
chasing a destination. They're chasing an answer. They're
Yeah.
chasing something. Like, they're chasing
Hmm.
tangible. And
Hmm.
the truth of being in entrepreneurship is the journey, is everything in the middle, is all the trial and errors and all the lessons and all of that. Like, I struggle so much meeting so many people who are so focused on the destination. They're so focused on getting, and I'm all about goal setting, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying that you
Yeah,
can't set goals and have
there's a
checkpoints
place
and all
for
these
it.
things.
Yeah.
But the amount of people who are literally chasing like a tangible thing or dollar amount or whatever, like, they are missing the entire purpose of being an entrepreneur, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's an unpopular
Yeah,
opinion,
I
because there's
agree.
plenty of people that would disagree with that. But okay, cool. So as we wrap this up, I love to just kind of ask a couple of random rapid fire questions, just to kind of get to know each other a little bit, and to kind of just have a little fun at the end. So
Yeah.
what would you say is the most unexpected thing you have learned as an entrepreneur?
Ooh. Oh my God, I have to answer
I
this
should take that
quick.
off the rapid fire.
Oh my God. The most unexpected thing I have learned. Um, Damn, I'm gonna go with the same thing I've been saying over and over again. There's like no right or wrong. There's different ways to do it. You don't have to give 100% of your heart and soul into it. Like, there's a life outside of your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so life outside of your business. What is your favorite part of your life outside of business? What is your like your social favorite?
Yeah, like you, from what I hear, I'm such a curious person. And I think the biggest thing that feeds into that for me is traveling. I love like exploring and, deeply immersing myself into a completely different culture. So yeah, I think the biggest thing that is like my goal on a yearly basis is to do 3 different countries a year. And that's something that I've been able to do for a while. And yeah, I'm just so fortunate and I love it so much.
Is there anything specific that you do when you travel to all these things? Like, are you a foodie? Are you a whiny? Are you what are you?
Grocery stores. The grocery stores are like the highlight for me. Like, I love walking down those aisles and like exploring all the different things, like the staples, the snacks, the drinks. I love it all.
Yeah, and it's got to be so different everywhere you go. Like,
So
that's
different.
so
So different.
intriguing.
Like, also, like, I'm sure you hear like a lot of the stuff we have in the US is illegal in other countries. So just even seeing that, like, or like if they have something, it tastes so different. Like,
Yeah,
they've just like changed the ingredients, obviously to be healthier. But yeah, I love,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
exploring.
That's really cool. Okay, are you a coffee or tea person?
Oh my goodness. I am not a caffeine person. I was like everyone else in the world, addicted to caffeine at some point, and then my body changed like mid-20s and decided it couldn't handle caffeine anymore and started getting all the shakes and all the anxiety. And so I just completely cut it out of my life. So if it's not that I don't love it, I love the smell of coffee. I'll maybe if I'm traveling and someone drinks, like Americano or something, I'll take a sip or something, but it's not something I do on a regular basis. And teas, I'll do herbal.
Yeah.
Maybe like a green tea or black tea here and there, a small amount. But yeah, definitely no caffeine for me on a regular basis.
Good for you.
Water.
You're
Water
like
is
you're
my
like the
drink.
model citizen over here. I love it. All right, one last one. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Early bird. I'll wake up so early. I taught a class this morning at 5. I needed to be there at 4:40 a.m. So my alarm went off at like 3:30 this morning.
What time do you go to bed when you have that?
Yeah, that's the problem. Not the best of that. But like last night, I was asleep by 10.
That's still, that's still pretty late. I mean, like, I feel like I fall asleep on my son's bed by 9 almost every night because I'm just so tired.
Oh my God, yeah.
Very cool. All right, girlfriend. So if anybody is vibing with you or your business or anything like that, where is the best place for them to get in touch with you?
Instagram, Gear Up Tires.
Yes. All right. I will make sure that the links are in the show notes. If you guys are local to her, check her out. Obviously. Oh wow. Yeah, I just went really out of focus there. Okay. All right. Technology is basically telling me that I need to go back to bed. So thank you so much for coming on and chatting. I appreciate this on such a deep level. I cannot even tell you. And I mad appreciate everything that you are doing and that you stand for as an entrepreneur. Just in general, I just loved you. I just felt like that when we were there too. And I was like, I just love her. I want to talk to her more.
Oh,
So thank you so much for spending the morning with me, dealing with our technological issues. And I'm sure we will chat soon. And for everybody watching, make sure to check out the next episode of BloxFam Breakthroughs. We're out. Bye.
Bye.